Well, it's been a little bit more than a year and a half since I've been here doing one of these videos. So one of the last big things that I had gotten a chance to do, or the last two big things just before the pandemic hit big, was go to Florida and meet my brother Scott. And I was able to attend a birthday party for my sister Denise. That was actually 2 years ago. Things have been good. Let me start there. Things have been good during the pandemic, although we haven't been able to physically get together. We've been doing a lot of texting. Me and my sisters especially. Pretty much text every day to each other. And we've done some video chats together as well. And things have been good. Now that the pandemic is not over, but lightened a little bit, with everyone with their shots, things opened up. Now I'm starting to make plans to go and see some of my sisters. At least the ones that are nearby enough to see easily. And that's going to be a lot of fun, except for the heat. I don't do well in the heat, with the exception of two of my sisters who love the heat. The rest of them are pretty much like me. They're not the biggest fans of the heat. I got one that can take it or leave it. We're all over the place. So during this time, I've been really getting to know them, and we've been finding a lot of similarities that I have with each and every one of them. And that's really been warming my heart. I mean, it's a bummer that I had to wait this long to be able to start going to see them and hang out with them and have the one-on-one personal connections that is so important in life and building a strong bonds with family. But we're doing the best we can. We're all very supportive of each other, and we're having a good time. Now, everything that I've said has to do with my maternal biological side, the Odells. And during this time, wow, it's been so long, I really should watch the last video I did almost 2 years ago. But I found my biological father. And I have been in contact with him a lot. It started off a little bit bumpy, of course. He had no idea of my existence. As far as he knew, he didn't have any kids. So at the age of 77, he's 78 now, at the age of 77, to find out that you're a father, he took it a little slow initially. But my cousins, his nieces that had gotten to speak to me, I met one of them, Lisa, when I was coming home from Florida, visiting Scott, because she lives in or right outside Tampa, which is actually only about 30-40 minutes away from where my pop lives. So, and that's actually kind of important for what's coming up. Me and my pop have gotten along great. He sees so much of himself in me. Of course, not everything. He's such an outdoorsy dude, and that's the one big difference between him and me is he'd be just as happy out in the woods, camping, enjoying nature as a normal person would be on a hammock. And me, I like nature, but I like nature over there. Not right here. It's over there. Over there, nature's great. So that took him as a little bit of a shock. But we have so much else in common. We've been getting along really great. Started off, I would video with him through Facebook once a week, and we were getting to know each other. Now, when I first started video chatting with him, it was a little hard to understand him. I caught on quickly enough because about half a year or so before I found him and we were able to start communicating, he had an operation on his throat that was botched. It was completely botched, and it left his voice a little high-pitched and a lot scratchy, and it made it difficult for a lot of people to understand him. Now, on top of that, and I'm going to say something that's a little sensitive because I know my pop's going to watch this, so I do apologize for making this public, but it's the truth. My pop didn't have the best opportunity for an education growing up, and because of that, his spelling skills are weak to the point where he would just rather not write anything than have it so obvious that he's not a great speller. Now, I'm not a great speller, but I make by. I make do, I get by. And I've gotten better over the years. But my pop never really had the chance to get better. His wife, Frances, God rest her soul, she kind of took over everything. So for his photography business and stuff, she was doing all the paperwork. She handled everything. And which is nice, which is great, but after she passed away, it kind of left him in a hole, you know? So here he is. He can't really spell, so he doesn't try, and his voice is pretty bad. And from what he told me and my cousin told me, his voice used to be very much like mine. In fact, they think that on the phone, we sound almost identical, well, at least the way he used to sound. Now, over the past year and a half, almost 2 years that I've been getting to know my pop, his voice has been getting worse, and his breathing has been getting worse. What was originally thought was that he had a polyp or something similar to a polyp on his vocal cords. So he saw a doctor, a specialist, and they went in and they cut it out. But apparently they cut out too much. And it kind of left a hole in his vocal cords. And at the same time, now this is what he was originally told. Things have kind of changed, but this is what we were going with originally. And that the vocal cords were fusing together. So he had a hole, and the cords are fusing together. So with the hole, it made it very hard for him to be breathing. And the cords coming together is what was destroying his voice. Now, my pop is 70, well, he's 78 now, but when this all started, when I met him, he was 77. Wow, what an active guy. What an absolutely active guy for his age. He getting out every day to do his photography. He loves his photography. He does it all the time. His photography is like my videotaping. He just loves it so much, and he's always on the lookout for what to save his pennies up for. To get some nice, cool little gadget to trick out his camera. And he's also at the same time very, very, very smart because some things he just makes. That's how old school he is. If he needs something and he either can't afford it, can't find it, or he just can't find the right one, the perfect thing for it, he'll buy things and make whatever it is that he needs. He's very, very handy. So this was getting really rough, both for him, obviously, and for me to watch as the weeks went by and the months went by, and his breathing was getting worse to the point where he lives on the second floor, and he would go downstairs, and the guy's a naturalist. He would go down and he would feed the raccoons and the squirrels and take care of lost animals, so to speak, at least made sure that they were fed and watered, if nothing else. And he couldn't even get up and down the stairs anymore. He just couldn't. And his heart was breaking over this. Now, my pop's not in a good situation. He has money. He's not dead broke. He's not in debt. Okay? That's important. But he doesn't have a lot of money. The money that he is getting from what little pension he had, and he's also drawing off of Frances's money after she died. He's legally getting it. And that's actually just barely enough for him to, after everything is said and done, he has maybe $400 or $500 in his pocket by the end of the month, which is emergency money, or he saves up to buy himself a new little trick for the camera or something like that. And that's it. He lives very modestly. He's given me the tour through camera of his place, and quite literally he's got a rack of clothes, one rack of clothes. He's got a chair. He's got a bed. He's got a TV. He's got his phone, his camera stuff, and his Jeep. That's it. That's it. You know, he's like, he's so the opposite of me and all the crap I have. But he lives very, very minimally. So he doesn't need a lot. But the problem is that he's, on top of everything else, he's kind of stuck. He's stuck in government housing. He says that it's the HUD program. And he's in the system. He's in the cycle. And it's hard to get out. You know, unless you can just afford to get out of it, you're kind of stuck. There's options to move, but the wait list is 5 to 8 years. He's 78. He doesn't have 5 to 8 years to wait to get out of there, and he wants to get out of there. His brother, my Uncle John, had been trying to get him to come back to New York State. Uncle John lives like way, way far up in some little place I never heard of, Mexico, New York, or he lives right outside of Mexico, New York, right around that area. I've never even heard of it before. It's so far off of the New York City radar. But Uncle John had been wanting him to move back to New York, even if it was with him, place in his basement and stuff. But although they love each other as brothers, as twins do, they don't really get along, according to my pop. And they never really have. Not that they have anything against each other. They don't like each other. It's not like that at all. They do care about each other very much. But personality-wise, there's not much of a connection there between the two of them. And they get on each other's nerves very easily. So my pop has been consistently turning Uncle John down about coming back to New York, even moving in with him. Now that I'm in the picture, now Pop had always wanted to move out, at least where he was outside of Tampa. He's not very happy with that. Like me, he doesn't like hot weather. It's a long story how he ended up there, which I'm not going to get into right now. But his return to Florida anyway, it's a long story. I'm not going to bother getting into that. But he, now, with me in the picture and living here in New York, that thought is a bit of a reality to him. But we can't get him up here. And now, even more so, with the throat operations he's been having, let me get back to that. So now it turns out that after going to see several different specialists and doctors, he finally found out what's going on. That whole thing about the polyp and stuff, somehow these doctors, several of them, including the one that did the original operation, completely missed the fact that he had cancer. And by the time, just 2 months ago, when he finally got to someone about this, see another doctor about this, and they found out, oh, Mr. Saber, you have stage 3 throat cancer. Fuck. He should have been told about this almost 2 years ago, at least 1.5 years ago. Okay, but nobody caught, no one, until now. So my cousin, who lives nearby in Tampa, was really doing a great job. She still is. I don't know why I said it in the past tense. In light of the fact that she herself has gone through several massive family problems that I'm not going to get into because it's not my story to tell. But I respect and understand what she is going through. And in light of that, she's still making time to take care of her Uncle Tommy, my pop. And that's amazing that she's able to do it, because I'm up here in New York. I can't do shit. And I want to. So even before it turned out that it was cancer, me and Kristen me and my wife were looking into how to get him up here. I mean, outside of putting in for a transfer, which, as I said, is a 5 to 8 year wait, it's impossible. I mean, there must be something that we're missing. There must be some sort of city or state or federal agencies to help out in something like this, to get an elderly family member, immediate family member, moved back to family. He's in the state system, he's in the federal system, he's in the HUD system. What can we do to get him up, get him out of it even? Now, unfortunately, being in the apartment, there's no place to put my pop here. And not that he needs someone to watch out for him. He's not at that point in his life where he, outside of things that are going on with the operation, he wasn't at that point in his life where he needs a caretaker or anything like that. He can get around. He can do things happily. So he hates just sitting around. But to get him somewhere nearby, so at least I'm able to check in on him. I'm able to be close by to help him out, because he does need help now with everything that's going on. And even though before the cancer thing, you're looking at a very strong 77-year-old, he's still approaching 80, okay? And I understand this. We're still stuck trying to figure out how to get him moved up here to New York. How to get him into some place here. Since he doesn't have the money for his own place, we don't have the money to get him a place. We don't have the space for him here. There's got to be something that we've been missing in some of these government, state and federal help systems for the elderly. As of right now, he is he's in Tampa in the hospital, the Moffitt Center, Moffitt Medical, something like that. That's where he is right now. He had gotten sent home, and everybody was surprised that he actually got sent home the first time, because there was no visiting nurse set up to be able to come and see him, and that's because they were having problems with the insurance. And he wasn't physically strong enough to do everything he needed to do on his own, to the point where a couple of days after he was back from the hospital, they had to call an EMT for him to come and get him, because he collapsed. And even the EMT driver was like, "Why did they send you home?" But he's back now in the Moffitt, and they're taking care of him. He seems upbeat, and that's good, because during the operation they had to take out his voice box. So he's, on top of everything else, he's voiceless right now. And for a guy that doesn't know how to spell, this has got to be a level of hell for him, having to go through this. I remember when I was a kid, when I was a teen, I remember my Uncle Tim, my dad's brother, his big brother. He had throat cancer, and he had an operation, and I think he ended up at the VA hospital, over in the Bronx. And he ended up getting, getting one of these things. And, he lived around the corner from me. I tried to help him out when I could. But to be quite honest, Uncle Tim wasn't the nicest guy in the world, especially with kids. He didn't treat me or most of my cousins very well at all growing up. No, he never had his own. I even remember one party at my grandparents' house. I must have been about 7 or 8 years old, and I don't know what happened. I don't remember exactly what happened, but I went up to Uncle Tim to talk to him, to say something to him. And what he snapped back at me, I don't remember, but I remember going up to my dad crying, why does Uncle Timmy hate me? And my dad had to pull his big brother aside and be like, what the fuck is your problem? He's a kid. Would you act like an adult? Or whatever he said to him, I don't know. After that, Uncle Tim got me a bike. Not much contact after that, but he wasn't the greatest person to me and my cousins growing up at all. But still, he was my uncle. He was my dad's only brother. What little I did, I tried to help him. And I remember, I saw firsthand how that operation affected him, how changed he was. He was never a big guy. He was tall, but he was never a big guy. But wow, did he lose a lot of weight after that operation. and he seemed drained, you know? Every time I saw him after that, whether I went over to his place to help him out with something or see how he was doing, or if I saw him out on the street, the energy wasn't there. It was gone, you know? And like I said, he might have been a dick, but he was still my uncle. He was still my father's only brother, you know? So I saw this. I saw what that operation does to a person. And it's not easy having to deal with this with Pop. He's had the nurse, one of the nurses texted me the other day to let me know that he was okay, and I've been sending him videos, pictures of the dogs, texting him to help him have some contact outside of the hospital, you know, and let him know somebody here cares about him and is thinking about him. And she said that he really did enjoy that. I just spoke to him a few minutes ago. He was having a feeding. They got to feed him through his stomach because nothing can go through his throat because of do they still call it a tracheotomy? Is that because of the trach? So he has looks like a needle like this big from a mad scientist or something. And that's what his paste is in. He had another operation on the throat. They liked, at least as far as I know, I've been getting most of my information from my cousin Lisa, who's down there trying to help him. As far as I know, the second operation, they got more, or they did better. They're a lot happier. See, this is the other thing, not being there, and with Pop not being able to talk and not being able to write, the amount of information I'm getting isn't as much as I would like. And I don't want to harsh my cousin about why aren't you updating me more, because you don't know, and I'm not telling you because it's her life, but I know what she's going through. I know the problems that she's having right now. She knows I care. She knows I want to know what's going on with my dad. So I try to back off because of the hell that she's going through right now. And it's so frustrating having him so far away, and I can't even get regular updates. He seems to be doing okay. He seems to be doing strong. I just saw him a few minutes ago on the video. Then, like I said, they were feeding. It was feeding time, and the nurse was there, and he was able to whisper to her, and she spoke to me, letting me know, what was going on. He's okay. He's happy. He's going to try to call me back later. And sometimes, even though he can't talk, he just wants to see me and hear my voice and hear what's going on. So that's what I do. Right? Why not? That helps him get by. And also, he generally cares to know these things about me. So it hasn't been easy. I have no freaking idea how I'm going to get my Pop from Florida up to New York so I can help take care of him when he needs help being taken care of, so I can be there to just be there. It's not easy figuring all this out. Like I said, there's got to be something we missed. I refuse to believe that the federal agencies that are, like these HUD programs and stuff, that it's that impossible to get this done. It's something that we didn't hit upon yet. So we're still looking. And that's the update. I'm hoping to see my Pop next month in August. With everything that's going on, we may have to push that back till September, and that's fine because he doesn't want me there when he's expressly said he doesn't want me there when he cannot even take care of himself. That's not how he wants us to meet for the first time in person. And I dig that. I can understand that. I respect that. And in all honesty, if roles are reversed, I would be saying the same exact thing. There's no doubt in my mind. Which is funny because that's exactly the way my dad would have been. a lot of similarities in personality type between my dad and my pop that I've noticed. There's a lot that's different, but there's enough in there that makes me just step back and go, wow, that's the same reaction my dad would have had, you know? So that's been interesting. Not that I'm comparing, but sometimes something just happens and it leaps out and it's like, shit, I heard my dad say that, or I can literally see my dad acting like that in my mind's eye, you know? It's just, like I said, it's hard to miss because some of them are so strong. Oh, here's something interesting that I found out. So apparently both of my biological birth parents were southpaws. Both of them were southpaws. I'm a righty. But the thing is that I've noticed since I jammed my thumb in my wrist a couple of weeks ago, and what I've noticed is that even though there's a couple of things I do only really with the right hand, like writing. I write with my right hand. I open doorknobs with my right hand. I brush with my right hand. And there's a few others, but the number of things that gets done every single day, the amount of things that I exclusively do with my right hand are so small. I've actually noticed these last few weeks that I pretty much do everything, except for a few things and the detail work, like writing with a few things, but I pretty much do everything with my left hand. I'm just curious if other people are like that, or if that's some sort of throwback to my genetics, with both my parents being lefties, you know? That's weird. That's weird. So that's the update on everything. That's the way everything's been going. Of course, because of the pandemic, things have been quiet. So I didn't really feel like I had a lot to update. And then with my pop, at first there really wasn't a lot to update yet. I was still trying to see how everything with us gelled. And that's when the whole debacle with the throat happened. And then it was like, oh, God, this sucks. I don't want to just do a video about how this sucks. Let me wait. He'll see the doctor. They'll do an operation. Everything will be better. Then I can do a video and be like, oh, everything sucked, but now it's better. But you know, it's something my dad told me when I was a kid. He said, son, if you wait for the perfect time for something, you're never going to get a chance to do it. So enough waiting. Listening to my dad's advice, I wanted to update. So that's everything that's been happening here with me and my biologicals. I'm looking forward to getting to spend a little more time with them and getting to know them in person. It's been fun seeing all the similarities that we have when we write and tell each other stories, you know, of our lives, and to have a little bit more time to hang out with them, especially individually, right? That's a little more personal. But that's everything that's been going on here, and you know, fingers crossed that my pop's going to get strong enough that he's going to get out of the hospital, and then we could figure out some way to get him up to New York safely, somewhere near enough that I can keep an eye on him. He deserves it. He deserves to have more time with me. He's a good guy. He's a good guy that wasn't allowed to know me. It's not his fault. All right, thank you very much for joining me here with this update. And I promise it's not going to be a year and a half for the next one, because things are happening again. So thank you very much.